What's going on, guys? Sam Adams here, and welcome to The Drop, which is a weekly series every single Monday here on the YouTube channel, where I go through the top video game releases of the week and let you guys know what might be worth picking up. And this week, there are a lot of awesome games coming out. There was a lot to talk about, so I thought that it might be a little bit more accurate, a little bit more entertaining, and definitely a whole lot easier for me if I just made some notes, went ahead and read through them so that we could just get all of this out of the way as quickly as possible and focus on the games and what is included with them. So, starting off, we've got a game called Nova 3 coming to the PC, the PlayStation 4, the PlayStation Vita, the PS3, and the Xbox One for $14.99, and this is what is described by the developer as an action RPG game with turn-based, real-time mechanics all kind of mixed together, and it actually looks pretty interesting. It starts as your standard turn-based game, so you've got this little square kind of thing, and you just kind of have to go through and avoid all of these different collisions and different projectiles coming at you, and just kind of make it through the level. It's got a lot of puzzle mechanics as well, but as the levels go on, there are more and more real-time events going on, so that you kind of have to transform the way that you play the game from just a turn-based strategy game into kind of more of a, I want to say live action, but I guess I would just say real-time puzzle strategy game, and it actually looks pretty cool. So if you're looking to pick up something that's definitely unique and kind of a low-key game that not a lot of people are aware of, then you might want to pick up this one for $14.99 on pretty much everything except for the Xbox 360. Next up, we've got Madden 16 coming on the Xbox One, PS4, PS3, and Xbox 360, and I was kind of surprised that this game was coming out on the last generation consoles, but that's beside the point. This actually looks to be like one of the better Madden games that I've seen in the past couple of years. I actually stopped buying these just because there was kind of a lack of innovation going on from year to year. Of course, the graphics were improved little by little, and there were certain things that were kind of edged up, but for the most part, they stayed the same. But the controls have changed a lot for Madden 16, and of course, you can choose the old controls and play the game just like you always have if you just want those updated rosters, if you just want a little bit of a graphical boost, so to speak. But the controls have been changed. There's a lot more depth to them. For instance, the receivers can now throw different kinds of passes, or actually, I'm sorry, God. Next up, we've got Madden 16 coming to the PS4, Xbox One, PlayStation 3, and Xbox 360, and I'm actually honestly kind of surprised that this game is coming out on the last generation consoles, but I suppose EA wants all of the money that they can get, and honestly, I can't blame them because money is pretty cool. But the real way that Madden 16 rises above the last versions of this game, especially Madden 15, is that the entire control scheme has been improved a lot, and I watched some videos on it just to kind of stay informed as to what's going on, and it looks pretty cool. For instance, the receivers that are catching the football actually can choose to catch the ball in different ways. For instance, you've got the aggressive way, the regular way, and the low catch, and you just kind of choose which one fits your scenario the best. Another way is that if the quarterback gets hit mid-throw, the entire football will just kind of be flubbed a lot like in a regular game, and then the other team will actually have the opportunity to intercept that ball if that opportunity does present itself. And these are just a couple of the ways that the controls have really been changed to give the player more depth. Another way is that if you've got a runner going through the defensive line trying to get, a break and run towards the end zone, then you can actually get that runner to turn sideways, squeeze through a little gap in the defensive line, and just go ahead and sprint all the way down and get that touchdown. And these are just a couple of the ways that the controls have been improved so that there's an entire new depth to Madden, and it's something that I think the franchise has been missing lately. Is just, it feels very hollow. It feels like kind of your to-go football experience, for lack of a better term. It just doesn't feel like you're getting the full depth of the game itself, and Madden 16 is just one more step towards achieving that goal of ultimate realism, and it looks like the guys over at EA did a pretty good job with it, but I guess we'll just have to wait and see whenever it comes out on the PS4, Xbox One, PS3, and Xbox 360 this week. Next up, Dishonored Definitive Edition is coming out on the Xbox One and PlayStation 4 for only $40, which of course is $20 cheaper than the regular price of a standard release. But this is the critically acclaimed steampunk first-person assassin game that came out a couple of years ago and kind of became more or less a cult classic. It plays a lot like Thief if you've seen that game on the PlayStation 4 or Xbox One and you didn't get a chance to play Dishonored, but it's actually a pretty good looking game. There are tons of gadgets, tons of accessories, tons of ways that you can attack the enemy that really provide the game with a kind of replay value that not many games can achieve. You can replay the game many times, and you can never really go through it the same way, mainly even if you tried. You know, if we're being honest here, you'll probably switch up somewhere along the line just to kind of, you know, be a better assassin, so to speak. But it looks like it's going to be pretty good, and if you actually bought the digital edition of this on the PS3 back in the day, you can get the PlayStation 4 digital version of this for only $20. So you're paying $20 for a completely remastered version of this game, all of the DLC, of course, 1080p, 60 frames a second, and I watched a lot of videos on this, and it looks pretty good. Of course, Dishonored 2 is set to come out in the next couple of years, so it looks like it's going to be a great way to catch up on the story if you haven't played it yet, or just kind of replay a cult classic that came out a couple of years ago. Either way, it's coming out this week on the PS4 and Xbox One. Next up, the Mega Man Legacy Collection is coming out on the Xbox One and PC, and I saw that it was coming out on the PlayStation 4, but I couldn't really find a definitive release date for that PlayStation 4 version of the game. It very well might be the same date that these other two versions are released. If you know, please leave it down in the comments below so that everybody can be redirected to that if they want to look at it on the PlayStation 4. But this includes all 6 original Mega Man games, which is pretty impressive because they all are pretty much classics of the entire gaming industry. And where this game really pulls through and kind of caters to the old fans and new fans alike is that there are 2 new modes. One mode being the challenge mode, where it kind of has remixed levels and a varying difficulty, so that if you are a classic player of this game, you can kind of up the difficulty at certain points so that you can actually, you know, grind through some of these bosses just like you did back in the day and still have some challenge doing it, just in case you got kind of bored with the older gameplay. And then of course there's the museum mode, which actually adds more history, which includes art and other concept art from the development of the original 6 Mega Man games to the game itself. So as you're playing, you'll be able to see where the developers were making stuff, some concept art of Mega Man and other characters in the game, some of the enemies. It's actually a pretty cool way of doing things, and kind of reminds me of Rare Replay somewhat, just because it's kind of one of those historical gaming games. But it looks pretty good, and it's always, you know, good to experience games from the past. So again, Mega Man Legacy Collection is hitting store shelves digitally, I believe, this week. Finally, last but not least, Gears of War Ultimate Edition is coming out on the Xbox One, and this is definitely the game that I am most excited to play in the month of August. Nothing else has come out that I'm particularly, really wow, I have to buy that. This game came out, I went ahead and bought it. It looks absolutely great. Can't wait to play it whenever it comes out on Tuesday. But this actually stories the 9-year-old story. It's been 9 years since the original Gears of War was released in the early days of the Xbox 360, and it follows the story of Marcus Felix and his squad of soldiers as they're fighting the Locust Horde that has risen from the planet that you are on, and it looks absolutely gorgeous. There was a trailer that actually came out for the Xbox 360 version of the game, remastered for the Xbox One version of the game, and it really looks really awesome. I can't emphasize that enough. I believe it's called the Man of War trailer. I will link the new one down below, and then they will obviously have some kind of side-by-side of that somewhere over on GameSpot or IGN. Some people that get paid to do that crap, I don't. But the game looks great. In the multiplayer side of the game, there are 19 multiplayer maps, including all of the maps that were ever in the original Gears of War, including DLC, those that might have been exclusive to certain versions of the game on PC. Every multiplayer map is included, and then there are 17 characters from Gears of War 3 that you can actually level up as you progress through the multiplayer levels of the game. There's also a lot of stuff from the Gears of War 3 multiplayer included in the Gears of War Ultimate Edition multiplayer that wasn't in the original version of Gears of War, so it really just kind of brings that gameplay up to the standards of modern day, because Gears of War 3 multiplayer is legendary. All of my friends always talked about it. I never actually got the opportunity to experience it, because whenever I got a 360, I was more concerned with other games and experiencing games like Halo rather than Gears, but I am going to get the opportunity to do that now, and it seems like the Ultimate Edition of Gears of War is definitely the version of the game to do that on. If you buy this game before midnight on the New Year's Eve of this year, then you get all of the other Gears of War games that have come out for free, and it's pretty cool because each game focuses on one member of the squad that fights beside Marcus Felix, and I thought that that was a pretty awesome way of doing things. So ultimately you're getting every Gears of War game here for $40, and one that has been remastered and redone in 1080p 60 frames a second. The other ones are not going to be remastered, you know, 2, 3, I believe Judgment is also included in there somewhere, something like that. But they have not been remastered. They will just be available for backwards compatibility download. They didn't do the full Master Chief Collection kind of thing with this collection, so to speak. But that's alright. Tons of Gears of War, tons of action, tons of gore and guts and chainsaw guns on your assault rifles. Looks pretty good. Can't wait to play it. Again, it's only 40 bucks, and you get a lot of bang for your buck with this purchase. So there you guys have it. I hope you've enjoyed this edition of The Drop. If you did, drop me a like down below and comment what you think about the game lineup this week. The next 2 weeks are actually going to be pretty intense as far as games go, but for this particular week, what was your favorite game that's coming out? Are you picking up anything new? And of course, if you are new to the channel itself, don't forget to head over and check out some of my other content. I upload new stuff like 4 or 5 days a week, so there's always something new on the channel whenever you drop by to watch some videos. And as always, I want to thank each and every one of you guys for watching this particular video. I'll talk to you soon. Peace.